Hey guys, my name is Michael, and today we're discussing about some extremely bullish news that happened this past week. Volt's Bitcoin-related ETF will be under the tracker BTCR. It got the green light. It was okayed by the SEC. Notice how I said Bitcoin-related ETF. It's not necessarily a Bitcoin ETF, but we're all calling it a Bitcoin ETF because, well, 85% of the companies that the ETF will be looking into will be related to Bitcoin. So obviously it's a crypto Bitcoin related ETF. It's so close, but it's still not exactly where we are right now. However, the SEC still has to decide on 4 Bitcoin ETFs, and they've rejected Bitcoin ETFs in the past before. Some of these are going again, like the Van Eck ETF. So let's discuss, because regardless of the fact that this has been going on for years and it should have been done a long time ago, at least something got approved finally. It's one of the first of its kind, so always something to get excited about. Okay, so what exactly is this? First of all, you might be wondering, what is an ETF? It's an exchange traded fund, ETF. It's a type of security that basically tracks the market or a sector or something very specific. For example, you might have a space ETF. You might have a medical tech ETF. And one of my neighbors is staring at me. He's just staring. Okay, I'll be right back. As soon as I wanted to zoom in with my camera, he left. And someone else went outside now. Okay, anyways, that's a little weird. It looked like he was straight up staring at me. Just wanted to confirm, with my zoom camera. Anyways, so that's just life. It's weird sometimes. Investors are getting pretty excited because there's some institutional investors that still cannot get into cryptocurrency, or they have very limited exposure to cryptocurrency with what's just available to them because of restrictions and regulations and whatever industry they're in. They might just not be able to actually invest straight up in Bitcoin. They can't just go to Coinbase and let me buy some Bitcoin. They have to wait for stuff like this. But obviously, people who are very big fans of ETFs, who have a lot of ETFs and mutual funds in their portfolio, they're getting pretty excited about this stuff because it gives more exposure to cryptocurrency. And it's also the first step to, hopefully, actual Bitcoin ETFs getting approved. Pretty exciting stuff. We sold a vehicle today to a gentleman from Kyrgyzstan. Pretty interesting. A far away, magical, mystical place. Would be interesting to visit that area of the world one day. So, SEC, regulators. That's right, they're a tough cookie to crack. They've given the green light to Volt Crypto Industry Revolution and Tech ETF. As I said, it'll trade under the ticker BTCR. So, what exactly is it? Volt Equities Exchange Traded Fund is the first of its kind. It offers investors access to companies with significant exposure to Bitcoin. So what kind of companies are we talking about? I'm pretty sure you've heard about MicroStrategy. That's right. So currently their stock price is at $7.32. They're up a couple percent. They're in the green. We also have Marathon Digital Holdings. All of these are green, basically. Bitfarms. So these are pretty big companies that are investing heavily. These are just 3 examples. Obviously, MicroStrategy, all of us have heard about that. Bitfarms, I mean, it's in the name, right? So mining, cryptocurrency, all this stuff. You're going to have a lot of investment companies. You're going to have some tech companies. You're going to have some mining companies. And this is the whole point of this ETF. The fund, which cannot invest directly in Bitcoin, will put at least 80% of its net assets in Bitcoin industry revolution companies. They're defined as those that hold a majority of their net assets in the world's largest cryptocurrency or derive a majority of their revenue or profits directly from Bitcoin mining, lending, or transacting. So, Marathon Digital Holdings, MicroStrategy, and Bitfarms are part of the fund's holdings, and Canadian ETFs, private funds, and the Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust are not included, however, into the Bitcoin Industry Revolution companies, which is interesting because Grayscale is ginormous, but it just I guess that's part of the rules. Anyways, at least 15% of the fund's net assets will be in technology companies that derive 50% of their revenue from software, technology hardware, or products or services that rely on self-developed processing chips or AI chips. In addition, the fund may invest up to 20% of the portfolio to gain broad equity market exposure, including through ETFs, and to offset its own risks. The ETF will also look at indicators such as the stock-to-flow model. It evaluates the current stock of Bitcoin against the flow of new Bitcoin that's being mined every single day of that year. Volt's ETF approval comes after the SEC said in a filing last week that it would delay its decision on 4 Bitcoin ETFs. These are just straight Bitcoin ETFs. One of them we're very familiar with, but the Global X Bitcoin Trust, Valkyrie XBTO Bitcoin Futures Fund, Wisdom Tree Bitcoin Trust, and Cryptoin Bitcoin FD ETF. Cryptoin Bitcoin ETF. Cryptoin, that's so weird. Anyways, so they've delayed it respectively to November 21st, December 8th, December 11th, and December 24th, right before Christmas Eve. That's interesting. Other companies vying for approval of Bitcoin ETFs include these two. We've heard about them: Fidelity and VanEck. And if you remember, VanEck has been in the news many years ago because they were trying to be the first Bitcoin ETF. Now, to set things straight, there hasn't been a single Bitcoin ETF, straight up Bitcoin ETF yet. But we're getting much closer. This is as close to Bitcoin ETFs as you can get without actually being one. So, though no Bitcoin ETF applications have been submitted in the U.S. have been approved by the SEC, the chairman, Gary Gensler, recently expressed his interest in reviewing applications for a Bitcoin ETF fund tied to futures under the Investment Company Act of 1940. And Bitcoin right now is actually very bullish. Last I saw, it was at $56,000. We have not seen that in a long time. Wow, fantastic news. Basically, Bitcoin, I told you, October had a good chance of going green, and man, this is pretty cool. It hit an all-time high over the past 24 hours of 57,800. We're approaching the all-time high, like the peak all-time high of 64,500. We're very close now. We could be in price discovery mode by the end of this month, and currently, as of recording this video, we're above 57, so that's pretty crazy. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and we shall see you guys tomorrow. There we go. Oh my goodness, it's a tongue twister. Have a good one. Bye bye.